forms of Western alienated society, when he placed the fault line on the doorstep of modern science, he was quite misleading. He had nothing against science itself. He never said that the laws of science are false. What he was against was the elevation of science to a centrality in the outlook of people in a society in which it was exploited for profit-oriented wealth. That was his deep objection to science. Not to scientific laws, but to the centrality science can get in a culture, which is frameworked within profit-oriented extractive wealth. And a question that he explicitly asked was, how and when did we transform the concept of the world as not merely a place to live in, but a place to master and control? That's a conceptual question and a genealogical question, because there's the question when. So how, by what agencies and when did we transform the world as not merely a place to live in, but a place to master and control? Now this is a very general question, it's impossible to answer it, because it's of its generality. But I want to give you a very brief sense of what is meant by it. Let me move to some high philosophy in order to bring out what the question is asking. Some of you may know that for 200 years in the Western tradition of thought, there was a philosophical movement called skepticism. It's a movement which doubted that we have any knowledge of the world around us. And this is a recurring philosophical movement. The ancients had their skepticism, the medievals had their skepticism, and then in the 17th century, which was of great interest to Gandhi because that's when modern science emerged, Descartes raised skeptical questions as well about our knowledge of the world around us. But it's only in the 17th century that, with Descartes, that one inferred from one's doubt about our knowledge of the external world that there might not be an external world. Nobody until Descartes came to that conclusion. The ancients doubted our knowledge of the external world. They never concluded from it that maybe, therefore, there is no external world. What's the difference? What was Descartes tapping that was just not taken for granted ever until Descartes? Because in the ancient world, people assumed that if you perhaps did not have knowledge of the external world, there were still other ways of relating to the world, i.e., merely living in the world. It's only with Descartes that one came to think that living in the world was so cognitively saturated that if you doubted your knowledge of the world, you doubted the world. That is, one's way of living in the world was so mediated by cognition or knowledge. That's the result of making science central. That the very idea of living in it came to be put into doubt if knowledge was put into doubt. That's a 17th century development. That's what Gandhi was protesting. That you elevate intellectual knowledges to a centrality and thereby even make living in the world what philosophers much after Gandhi called logocentric. You make logos, knowledge, central in such a way that it dominates everything. And Gandhi's complaint was, well, what about merely living in the world?